Welcome to the NYG All In Podcast. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of the Giants winning Super Bowl 46 over the New England Patriots. This is the coaches edition. And we're joined by the head coach, Tom Coughlin, offensive coordinator, Kevin Gilbride, defensive coordinator, Perry Fewell, and special teams coordinator, Tom Quinn. And Coach Coughlin, I know, 10 years, it goes by fast. When you think about this football team and these group of men that were part of your staff, what are some of the things that jump out at you first take?
Well, the first thing is the quality of people that you have sitting here right now. The coordinators that took great responsibilities throughout the course of the season, the character, the work ethic, the constant challenging to be better. The ability to maneuver personnel when it had to happen, when you had injuries, et cetera, and had to make decisions on, how could you keep going and improve and get better? The ability to speak directly to the players about what was wrong, why we didn't win, but do it in such a way to encourage them to accomplish things and go forward. The quality of the men, the believing in each other, the working together with each other, the ability to overcome all kinds of circumstances that happen throughout an NFL season, which is part of the challenge. That's why these people are in the business they're in, is to overcome things and to put things together and fix things and move on and stay positive, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the things that I look back on. 2011,
there's a lockout. So there's no training camp in Albany. There's none of that stuff that's going on. And everything's kind of getting the off-season program is not happening because of the lockout. But not far from where I'm sitting right now, Eli brought his teammates over to this Weehawken Stadium and kind of coached them up. And talk about his influence that year.
That was a unique year because of the lockout. But in terms of the way he conducted himself and the way he led his teammates, that was pretty standard for him. I mean, he just had that ability to point out how significant their role was, how important it was that they got things down to the nth degree of perfection, and that if they would do that and he could count on them, they could count on him. And of course, he demonstrated that day in and day out with his work ethic, which was second to none.
Everybody always thinks about the Giants and their ability to run the football, which has been a staple of this franchise forever. But, people don't realize that throughout a bulk of that season, I mean, you guys were almost dead last in yards per carry. You didn't have the running game going. But did you guys look at each other, Coach Coughlin and Coach Gilbert, and just say, all right, man, we got to just turn this thing over to Eli, and we are going to just sling it until we can get this other thing going?
I was always in everybody's ear about let's get better at the run. Let's get better at the run. We look at the stats and we're so far behind. I don't know if we could ever catch up with that.
Bob, you're 100% right, not being as good as we usually are. And that man that just spoke, he did not even highlight or emphasize how much he would establish the parameters. People always said, well, you're calling the plays. Yeah, I said, but he made it very clear as to how we were supposed to function. And if I heard it once, I would hear it 1,000 times a season. I want balance. I want a balanced offense. We're not running the ball enough. And so we always tried to do that. And we didn't abandon that. We just were not as good at it. And you're exactly right. 2008, we were the best in the league at that. And we set an all-time record for fewest turnovers and everything else. And a lot of it was due to our ability and capacity to run the ball. This year, we wouldn't do it as well. And when you look at our statistics, where we stood league-wise at the end of the season, we weren't very good running the ball. But the one thing we were exceptional at was we were throwing the ball as well as we ever threw it. And I think we won 6 or 7 games that year on a last-minute drive because of our ability to throw the ball as effectively as we did.
For Giant fans, they look back 10 years, okay, obviously the Super Bowl, and everybody in the New York metropolitan area, knows about Victor Cruz and the salsa. But what people don't remember necessarily is I think it was the opener in Washington. It was a 3rd and 7 early in the game, drop. Next thing I know, the Giants are on the transaction wire, and maybe Victor Cruz doesn't happen if Brandon Stokely doesn't pull his hamstring, right?
That's exactly right. He dropped a pass, and the next game was against the Rams. And when he finally caught the ball, I don't know if you remember, he got a Bronx cheer. I mean, they were making fun of him because he finally caught the ball. He was not playing very well as opposed to his rookie year before he got injured. He was playing extraordinarily well. He wasn't playing well, so we put Stokely in there. But like most guys that have him at Braxton, they come out. He pulled a hamstring. But then all of a sudden we got into a blitz zero situation against the Eagles, and we ran what we call a switch route. He ran a wheel. He caught the ball, made the corner miss, and because it was blitz zero, there was nobody else there but one player, and that was a safety. He juked him, made him miss, went about 70 yards for a touchdown, came back later in that game, went up between the corner and the safety and caught a touchdown pass on a post. And all of a sudden, the Victor Cruz, legend of Victor Cruz began. It was in that Philadelphia game.
I want you guys to all just kind of mix it up a little bit here as far as complementary football, because I think when you take a look at this team and you think about all championship teams, at different points during the season, it really played into effect. There was Eli throwing it. You guys weren't running it that great. Times defense picking it up. Coach Quinn's special teams unit. What was it like, the interaction between all of you during the course of a week?
Everybody's got their own job and they're working their tail off to make sure that their part of the thing can be there when you start to talk about holding up your own end of the deal. And that's the way we always function. I mean, there was great respect among coaches on the staff. You're going to have your flare-ups now and then, but nothing that you can't handle. But everyone knew what their role was in order for us to have a winning team, football team.
I didn't want to let these men down. So I stayed the course. We tried to keep a positive attitude. And obviously, I have such great respect for all the men on this call. Coach Gilbride, Coach Coughlin, Coach Quinn, and just accountability and not letting them down. Doing your very best with the third of your group that you commanded. That's what I recall.
Great leadership from Tom. And then the thing that also happens was, Kevin and Perry, they were really helpful. Like a lot of times I would need a guy that might not be the guy they want. And, everyone was all in on it. So it was really great buy-in from all three sides of the ball to get the mission accomplished.
Yeah, I would just say to add to what Tom just said is that you're so immersed in your own preparations and your own responsibilities, you're oblivious to what's going on to the other side of the ball. However, you are cognizant of and very sensitive to the fact if you didn't do your part, there's a sense of not holding up your end. And to be quite frank, there's not a worse feeling in football and probably in life when you feel like I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Everybody else did theirs, but I didn't get the job done on my side.
While we're on this theme of complementary football, again, I want to go back to the game in Dallas in early December.
The Giants and Cowboys engaged in a dogfight with 2 head-to-head meetings to go.
Pretty much if you don't win this game, you're not going to make the playoffs. They have the lead. So here's where this all kind of comes together, right? Coach Fewell's unit has to stop the Cowboys. Coach Gilbride, your unit's got to score and score fast. And then Coach Quinn, your unit's got to block a potential winning kick. And it all happened like in the last 7 minutes of the ball game.
Well, that's the best example of synergy that you could offer, Bob. And you've been trying to come to that term. But when you take that small amount of time and you got compliments from all three phases to the best of their ability, that kind of tells you a little bit about where we were at that point in time as a team. We weren't always there, but at that point in time, that's what you're looking for.
Well, I'll just say it's people talk about all those things all the time. The sense of desperation you're in at that point in the game. You can't let yourself be overwhelmed or even distracted by those things. You got a job to do, and your focus is, hey, I got to score and I got to score fast. So my concentration completely is, what are they doing? What have they done in this situation before? Where are they most vulnerable? Where do we match up most effectively? And you go after that. And you got to do it as best you can in as short a period of time, but it's not like you're thinking about the final outcome. You got to do your job right then, at the point in time you are at that, in the game, and you do it to the best of your ability, but your focus is completely on what are they doing and what do I have to do to get after them.
2nd and goal at the 1 for the lead, a minute to go. Handoff Jacobs. He runs right, follows his blockers to the goal line. Touchdown Giants.
Eli Manning is doing the impossible again.
The thing I recall is Romo, who had led them down. That was like a 6-play drive for like 51 yards, okay? And, we were battling. It was a nip and tuck. 6 plays, 51 yards, and they line up for the winning field goal.
There's a timeout, and then Justin Trado, an undrafted free agent rookie from Don Bosco Prep who went to Florida, came up and said, "Hey, coach, let me push JPP through the A-gap." So I'm like, put him in, take a safety out. He pushed JPP through the center lean, and that was a huge play.
What a game. Snap is good again. Kick on its way, and it's blocked. Blocked by the Giants, and it bounds into the end zone and through the back of the end zone, and the Giants will win it.
Individual rose up.
Yep, Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP.
And JPP was just off the charts. Can you guys talk about what it was like coaching him in that 2011 season as he started to really emerge as not only a tremendous talent, but a tremendous football player?
I thought Coach Robert Nunn did a great job with bringing him along as a defensive lineman. And what an outstanding talent he is. He could drop and cover, and then his pass rush and his run game stoppage was outstanding, just like it is today.
His athletic ability was never in question. You remember his workout, or us talking about his workout. I don't know if you've ever seen an athletic workout like that in your life. The guy's doing backflips at his side.
This is Jason Pierre-Paul. They named JPP doing the actual backflips.
3, 2, 1, go. Stop. Woo! Oh, that's amazing.
He had to grow in responsibility, in focus, in learning how to study, learning how to do more than just line up and let his athleticism take over. He had to learn about offensive line play, learn about offensive tackles, learn to study the individuals involved. He had to go through all of that before he could get close to being the player that he is. But he had the desire to excel, and he learned from some of the other people in that defensive line room, and it benefited him greatly.
Can you talk a little bit about the emergence of Antrell Roll, his ability to grow into a leader for this football team?
Well, Antrell's a special kid, and his personality is outstanding. He just sparkled with energy and with enthusiasm. He enjoyed playing, and he was positive. He was a guy that could keep it positive, and as the season rolled on, he became more and more of a factor.
He was a young man that wanted the challenge. Every day he came in the meeting room, he wanted to know what his role was and how he could contribute. And that's what we really loved about Antrell. He wanted to put it all on his shoulders. He wanted to be responsible.
Coach Coughlin, Antrell led by example, but he wasn't afraid to also speak up as far as a voice is concerned. And just talk a little bit about how he challenged his own teammates internally.
Let's go out here and be great, man. Let's go out here and hit. Let's go out here and stick. Let's go out here and bust it.
He challenged everybody, to be honest with you. He was one of those guys that was very, very sharp. He studied. He knew his assignment, but he knew everybody else's assignment too. And he would be a guy that would put the pressure on other people to respond. And if somebody wasn't studying the way they should or whatever, didn't practice as well, he might have a pat on the butt for him, but he also might, give him a little shot about the challenge that we're up against this week. And he was not afraid to do that, but he kept it to the way in which someone as a teammate should conduct themselves. He wasn't looking down at anybody. He was trying to make people better.
Having a call upon people. Chase Blackburn gets signed off the street. I mean, he's substitute teaching, I think, at that point, but he fit right in. Just talk about guys like Chase.
Chase Blackburn was that piece of the puzzle that fit perfectly to what we needed at that point in time in the season. Not only a good leader and people respected him, but an excellent special teams player also. And he, along with Michael Boley, he had some really outstanding football games for us, very athletic linebacker, and he was all in. Guys like that just stepped up to the plate. Corey Webster in the back row. The cast was really a good cast of teammates that bought in, and they really cared for each other.
Coach Quinn's unit, when you think back to that 2011 season, played such a big role, whether it was Tynes kicking field goals, Weatherford was great punting and holding. You've got to deal with guys from the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. For all of us that are on the outside, I think we don't understand what really goes into special teams to make things happen. Just talk about that kind of buy-in that these guys have.
It's a big buy-in for these guys because they're doing so much on the offensive side and the defensive side, and then they got to switch hats and go right to the special teams. They just don't get to just play special teams. So they got to get the installs for offense, defense, and as well as the kicking game. So the mental part of it is, something that's really tough for them, but they do a good job, handling it. And then the physical aspect of it, you try and put the guys, and we always told them, bring your skill set and we'll put you in the right position. So one of the best kickoff covered guys we had since I've been here was Ahmad Bradshaw. And he just ran down like a running back, and he'd make guys miss like a running back. So as long as they would bring their skill set and use their skill set, it was a pretty easy transition, along with, paying attention to the mental end of it.
I want to go back to that Christmas Eve game. Considering all the crap that was leading up to that week, and the fact that you guys were the road team, was that one of the more satisfying regular season games that you can remember?
They're all satisfying to me. There aren't enough of them. I'd like to have about 50 more than what we have. But I'll tell you one thing: the ball's on the -1 now, and my mind is going a million miles an hour about holy crap. Are we going to be able to get out of here? We can't punt from the back line. So Kevin calls a basic play in our offense, a play that we've run 1,000 times, okay? And I know pretty much, I'm watching this safety. I think his name was Smith. And I'm watching this kid, and we get the little option route to Cruz, and he breaks outside fast. And all of a sudden it all developed. And I look up, and that safety's taking the wrong angle for Cruz. And away he goes.
And running out of a tackle down the right sideline is Victor Cruz. Chased by Smith. Hurdles over him to the 30, to the 20, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown Giants! 99 yards!
The best 99-yard call I've ever seen in my life was right there. And that was the ball game, to be honest with you.
But the thing that stood out beyond the 99-yard play was the physical and mental toughness of our leader. Because if you remember, he got rolled up on the sideline because Murph pushed him into the running back.
Coughlin took a shot as Ware got knocked out of bounds.
He had a bruise from his backside all the way down to his ankle. What was it, Coach? It was about a centimeter or so from being torn off the bone, the hamstring.
It was all shredded. They came 10 yards out of bounds together. I didn't know which was gone. I thought the knee was gone. I didn't know what it was. But I don't think I went down. I stayed up.
You did not go down, and you walked across that field to shake the man's hand.
I stayed up.
12 o'clock training room tomorrow. I'll be in there myself.
I said, I'll come in the morning, and you can do what you want to do. I'll come in when the players come in, and then you can take a look around. But I said, if it's surgery, it ain't happening until this whole thing is over. So
comes together late in the season. Now you're getting the guys back. Get the game against the Jets on Christmas Eve and win that ball game, playing Giant-style defense. Regular season finale against the Cowboys, fitting that it kind of ends on a sack. And now let the record show, I know Coach Coughlin, you always like to say this, let the record show the first ever postseason game in the history of the new MetLife Stadium.
First playoff game in MetLife Stadium. Can't get no better weather, can't get no better team, can't get no better teammates. All in today. That's all we got. We ain't got nothing to save it for. If you don't put it all in today, you're taking your ass home. And I don't want to go home.
Talk about those fourth down stops.
4th and inches. They're showing power formation. Not going to snap it. He does go for it.
He ain't get it. He ain't get it. He did not get it.
And they did not get it.
Here comes Ryan to the line, 4th and inches. Empty backfield. Jones in motion. Ryan's going to keep it. He got stopped. He didn't get there. Second time today. They've been stopped on 4th and inches by the Big Blue defense.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
And Coach Fewell, in that defensive room, you got to feel it all starting to come together now, right? You're envisioning that, hey, okay, at the beginning of the year when we're looking at our personnel, and now that we've gone through this, everything that we've gone through, now we're getting everybody back. The guys that had to step up are now seasoned. Did you feel like, bring it on?
You know, what I really remember when it came together is we're in pregame stretch. And in the pregame stretch, it was just a feeling. You know, in the team stretch, it was just a feeling like everybody kind of looked at each other. And it was like we came together as a football team. We could feel this coming. It was in the air for us. And I knew it was in the air for us defensively, but it was in the air for us as a team. So we really carried that theme along with the all-in philosophy from that game throughout the run.
Coach Gilbride, we discussed this earlier with Coach Fewell, so I just want to get your take on the Atlanta game. Obviously, it's virtually a shutout with only the 2 points that were scored by the Falcons, but the power of your offense in that game.
Takes the snap, he's back to throw. Steps up over the middle, Nick's wide open at the 40. 45, runs through a tackle. There goes Nick, gallops over another. He's going to score. 20, 10, 5, touchdown Giants, 72 yards.
Did you get a sense that we could put a huge number on these guys?
I thought we could move the ball. I thought we could win, but I certainly didn't expect the domination that we got. But I really do attribute it to the other side of the ball as much as anything.
New York Giants are on to the divisional round and a trip to Green Bay against the Packers.
You get these stops on fourth down, and then the offense explodes. And as you said, Coach Coughlin, that game's like a shutout. I think people forget, too, how well you guys played defensively against the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. I mean, another week in a row, you're going against a prolific offense. And that game was not as close as the final score showed.
Well, you have to remember it was balmy in Green Bay. Then it was 19 that day.
Right.
Compared to minus 27.
Didn't you have a tank top on, Coach?
No way, I did. Yeah, I did. Sunscreen. There's so many great things that happened in that game. I mean, God, that was something.
Fastball over the middle, caught inside Packer territory. Nick runs out of a tackle. He's to the 35, 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Giants.
The one thing that jumps out at me is how the half ended. The defense gave us a chance to have the ball back. There wasn't much time on the clock. Bradshaw makes one of those, only the instincts of a competitor, makes a play, gets out of bounds.
Veers to his right, trying to turn the corner. 8 seconds to go to the sideline, and he gets out of bounds with 6.
He's such a feisty, combative, in-your-face kind of guy. I was afraid he was going to try for that extra couple yards instead of, hey, you got to get out of bounds. You got to give us a chance. But the Hail Mary was just the way you draw it up. I think they were all positioning themselves defensively, waiting to see where the tip was. And all of a sudden it opened up a chasm, and just you saw the big hands of Hakeem go up and make the play. But he wasn't challenged the way normally you are. Normally there's 2 or 3 bodies that are, up against them, knocking them around, but they kind of backed off like somebody else was going to defend it, and nobody did it. And it was a relatively easy catch for a Hail Mary situation.
What about that game plan, Coach Fewell, though, from a defensive standpoint against that offense? Because that offense that season, the Packers offense, was absolutely prolific.
The game plan really was let's disguise and show Aaron Rodgers one coverage, but play something different on the snap of the ball. I thought the matchups, Roll, Grant, Corey Webster, Michael Boley was outstanding in that game. I know Boley and Roll, I think they had like 8 tackles in that ball game apiece. It was really key to us being able to disguise and play the run as well as play the pass, jumping down into an 8-man front. We needed to play an 8-man front, but also playing that cover 2 shell that really bothered Aaron Rodgers.
Handoff Jacobs, cuts back to the right. Jacobs turns the corner at the 10. He's to the 5, to the goal line. Touchdown Giants! And that 14-yard run most likely has sent the Giants to San Francisco and the NFC Championship game.
I want to take you guys to San Francisco here because, his teammates will say it. And I'm sure all of you from your different positions as coordinators have a thought on it and a viewpoint on it. The courage that Eli Manning showed in that game against what was a fantastic San Francisco defense.
Well, I know this. I heard from a lot of people who I have great respect for in the business after that game, and they said there's no longer any question about Eli Manning's toughness.
Coach Gilbride, you're watching your quarterback get smacked around in that game. What are you thinking?
Well, it's funny. The first half, we moved the ball a little bit, and I think we were close to 200 yards, which is a pretty good day considering the quality of defense we were going against. That second half was a battle and a half. We couldn't move the ball at all, and I'd like to think that the conditions were contributing to that a little bit, but I think it was more the quality of the opposition. And I certainly was cognizant of the hits that he was taking, but when you're looking at the game from the sidelines, you're not looking at the hits he's taking when he's passing the ball. You're looking at what they're doing coverage-wise, what they're doing to defend against your routes so that you can intelligently call the next play and give your guys the best possible chance to be successful. The guys were fighting. They were battling, but that was a tremendous defensive front. We got that post to Mario for a big play for the touchdown, but other than that, we didn't do anything the second half. Fortunately, our defense and special teams were playing great.
Returnable for Williams from his own 20. Lost the ball, and the Giants say they have it, and they do! Williams coughed it up on the return, and the Giants have recovered it. Knocked out by Jaquan Williams and recovered by the Giants. Devin Thomas recovered it, but the rookie Jaquan Williams punched it out.
We had 5 rookies starting on the punt team. All those young guys, they really did a good job. They knew what their role was on offense or defense, and then it was easy for them to buy into the kicking game because they were so young.
The thing that I'll never forget is, and worried about the final decision Tom made at the end. I'm sure you remember, you wanted to kick the field goal.
Field goal!
And of course, the field was a mess. It was treacherous, and right where the ball happened to be snapped, Tom talked about. I just know that it was a quagmire out there. I mean, it was not the easiest of kicks, even though the distance was fairly close. Trust me, it was a heck of an effort by those guys to put it through the uprights.
Snap is low. Kick on its way. It's got the distance, and it is good! And Lawrence Tynes has done it again. He's kicked the Giants to the second Super Bowl in 4 years.
Lawrence Tynes, just his mental toughness is second to none, for clutch kicks, and you just know it was going to go through. So
that game provided me and all these coaches for wherever they might go after that, the essence of special teams contributions to the game. When you stand in front of a team and talk about you have a chance to make your team if you perform on special teams and how important special teams is to our outcome, you don't need any other lessons. You've got the greatest lesson of all time.
Let's get to Super Bowl week. I think there were a lot of people, maybe unlike the game 4 years earlier, that really felt like the Giants were the better team going into the football game. And you guys had a lot of momentum going.
Manning back to throw. Throws one left. Touchdown Giants. Victor Cruz on the slant. And he does the salsa in the Patriots end zone.
And then you knew that they would make a run, right? I mean, Brady's too good to not make an adjustment. They made a little bit of adjustment, and sort of the game is on.
Brady calls the set, looks right, throws it over the middle, completes it over the middle, and he's got Hernandez for the touchdown.
You knew that New England was going to come back. That's just their nature. That's how they were built. And, you got Tom Brady back there and his cast. So that was definitely the challenge, just trying to keep them contained.
I got to get your guys' take on the throw. The Eli to Mario Manningham throw, as you guys are rallying there down the stretch. It's the perfect throw and the perfect catch. Might be the best throw catch combo in Super Bowl history.
I just said to Eli on the sidelines, the 2 safeties are starting to skew over to the Victor Cruz and Nick's side. I said, you may be able to get a look off to the 2 receivers side and then come back and throw it down to Mario, get a big play down the sidelines.
Manning out of the shotgun set, and he's back to throw. Climbs the pocket. Deep ball down the left sideline, and it's going to be caught. Was he inbounds? Yes! Manningham on the sideline.
On that particular play, that safety didn't move at all. Kid stayed true. He stayed on his landmark, and it took as good a throw as you'll ever see, getting into Mario. And maybe even more amazing than the greatness of the throw is the fact that Mario actually stayed in bounds and caught the ball, because earlier in that game, he had a much easier catch and he stepped out of bounds, which I could have strangled him about. But on that one, it was as good as it got.
Quarterback's looking down the middle of the field. He comes over to Manningham, and Chung comes roaring off of his too deep position. His head goes a little bit behind Mario instead of in front. Either one of those two positions, he knocks the ball out. It's that kind of play. I'm standing right across from it, and I see it, and I know he's in. I know his feet are in. And he makes the play when the play has to be moved. And we end up with a touchdown.
Hand off Bradshaw. He runs up the middle. And he falls into the end zone for the touchdown. He thought about stopping.
I didn't say a word to Bradshaw. Eli did. As I look back at it, you going to let me score? I'm scoring.
Brady, he was going to fight until the end. The Hail Mary at the end of the game.
Forget about that. It's 4th and 17, and he makes it. He sticks it in there.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
The Deion
4th
Branch?
and 17. Everybody knows he's got to throw. Everybody knows. 4th and 17. The game's over. Not quite over.
Brady's back. Brady's under pressure. Brady's chased. Brady heaves one down the middle of the field.
He throws a rocket. He's drilling that in there, almost like trying to take advantage of their height. You can't see real good from where I am. Of course, we got guys that are leaning out on the field. And here comes this rocket out of there.
Into the end zone, a jump ball.
And all I see is the ball doing what you don't want the ball to do. Antrell kind of dives, and he hits Gronkowski in the butt, and the ball falls to the ground.
And it's incomplete, and the ball game's over, and the Giants have won Super Bowl 46. Finish is what Tom Coughlin said, and the Giants have finished off the Patriots in the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years.
That's what you work for all your life. When you talk about team, you're talking about togetherness. You're talking about people who care about each other. You're talking about people that end up playing for each other. And when that happens, that's the greatest feeling in the world. I have a tough time sometimes with this term, Coach, we're all in. Because my first regard is, where the hell have you been? I expect you to all be in from day one. What's going on here? As you bring a team together, as you bring them along, and as you preach, and you get to know the individuals more and more, and you get closer and closer to it, when it clicks like that, man, that's a great, great ride and a great feeling as a head coach, because now this team truly is one, and they do really play for each other.
We hope you enjoyed this NYG All In podcast as we look back at the 10-year anniversary of the Super Bowl 46 champion New York Giants. And we had a chance to visit with Coach Coughlin, Coach Gilbride, Coach Fewell, and Coach Quinn. Make sure you check out new episodes of the All In podcast. They debut on the Giants media platforms each and every Wednesday.